Hey, welcome back to Explore Tulsa. Ethan, what are you doing? We're trying to do a TV show, dude.
Well, I know, but look, I picked up 2 copies of Performance Magazine, and it is so good I can't put it down.
Well, Jeff Magee would love to hear you say that. I'm sure most people don't know Jeff Magee lives here in Tulsa. His magazine is published and syndicated in the top 26 markets in the United States. Jeff does an awesome job.
That's right, and that's why recently we asked him to sit down with former Mayor Kathy Taylor and talk about what makes a business successful.
Here's our Performance Live segment with Jeff Magee.
Welcome to Performance Live. I'm Jeff Magee, group publisher of Performance Magazine, and our next guest is a treat for me, if not at least you, and that is a business entrepreneur, former vice president and legal counsel, chief legal counsel for Thrifty Dollar Automotive Corporation, former Secretary of Commerce for the state of Oklahoma, and former mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma. With us today is Kathy Taylor. Thank you so much for being here.
Great to be here.
I love it. What I want to dive right into is that you have worked both in the private sector as well as the public sector. You've been in executive level positions a lot of your career. You've worked your way up. But where I really am interested is, as you look at business today, whether it's for men or women, regardless of age or vocation, what are some of the things that you see are what we have to do to be successful today?
Well, I think it's a pretty simple recipe, and it's part of it is a recipe we've always had. It's a lot of hard work, but it's also focus. It's understanding how technology can drive change. I'm a big believer in government and in business that use of technology, appropriate use of technology, drives change, drives innovation, allows people to be more effective in their jobs.
For the person then, and that's powerful when you talk about technology, because technology is changing as fast as you buy something. It seems like it's outdated the next day. When you say the use of technology, does it really mean someone has to have the most cutting edge technology, or they just need to be able to integrate technology into their business and life?
Well, I think they need to understand how technology can impact and provide either a market niche in business or a way for them to leverage their resources, as we often have to do in government. Can we train our teachers virtually with the very best practices through technology as opposed to 4-hour drive times back and forth? How can we use technology to make sure that our kids are learning skills for the next generation, and so that the workforce that you need for your companies are prepared to make Oklahoma, America competitive in this economy?
That's huge. Let's take that a little bit deeper then. So what about an individual in terms of businesses you just spoke to? What do individuals need to do? And let me form it really as a different question. From your vantage point, if you were coaching someone right now and put on the spot, and they were to ask the question of either what are some of the top things I need to do to be productive, profitable, and successful in the business place, what comes to mind? What would you coach someone on?
Well, whether it is your personal finances or your business finances, sourcing product, being able to understand the use of technology to source and order just-in-time product inventory. So using your scarce resource as well, and understanding the support that's out there for you in the world. One example is a kindergarten teacher, for example, if they had access to a technology that was a smart technology, they could go online and know kindergarten teachers across the country that had similar student populations and know what the best practices were to make sure those kids were going into first grade ready to learn. That analogy would apply itself into any business or personal situation. How can you do your best, be the most effective, and leverage the resources that we now have access to at our fingertips 24 hours a day?
That's powerful, because I think a lot of people, that they really do take a micro view of things and not realize by looking at the bigger picture and what's my network of influences and how can I access other people, that can actually help me to be more successful. So if you were to really, if I put you on the spot and I were to say, give me the more valuable DNA, and that is, what's the one thing that is the fastest way to failure you've seen people trip into, what would you tell me not to be doing?
I think the failure to communicate. Failure to communicate. You can't build a team and collaborate and really leverage your personal energy unless you communicate with those that have a similar goal as yours. And if you do communicate, and you communicate well, and communication, of course, is a two-way street.
Yes, ma'am.
It's talking and listening, getting that feedback. That's where I see businesses and people really take off and achieve their potential.
Wow, love it. You've been watching Performance Live with Kathy Taylor and Jeffrey Magee. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Hey, thanks, Jeff, and a special thank you to former Mayor Kathy Taylor for joining us for the Performance Live segment. You won't want to miss next week's segment with Jeff, where he interviews Jim Stovall.
That's right. Jim Stovall wrote and produced the movie The Ultimate Gift, starring Brian Dennehy. That's going to be a great interview. Hey, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Explore Tulsa.